welcome to Tomlyn's Facebook Live. It's our very first one, and we really appreciate you joining us. I'm Tabitha, the marketing manager of Tomlyn, and we are located in Fort Worth, Texas. So if you're ever in the area, please come by and join us. We'd love to give you a tour. For right now, I wanted to introduce to you our newest member of Tomlyn. This is a little guy that you guys helped name. And he's just the cutest little boy, so he was adopted by one of our employees, and he's doing well, nice, fat, and happy. So I know you've tuned in to see Dr. Lowe and ask him questions on your vet. And just remember and keep in mind, if you do have questions, we'll be glad to help answer them, but always consult your veterinarian as well. So let me introduce you to Dr. Jim Lowe.
Hello out there.
And he's going to start answering some questions for you. And we have one that just came in from Karen. And her question is regarding cats. She has a 5-year-old neutered feline that is now hospitalized with his third bout of chronic how do you say that, Dr.
Cystitis, actually.
Thank you,
yes.
Thank you. He wouldn't eat the food, but kept stealing his siblings' food. They have 8 cats. That's wonderful. And poor Karen is trying to avoid surgery. So what are the alternatives that can make the food more enticing?
Hey Karen, thank you for your call and your note, and certainly I can appreciate the difficulties you're having. I guess first and foremost, there are a variety of diets out there that are recommended for the problem your cat is suffering from. So certainly consult with your veterinarian. There may be some alternatives out there, and it may simply be that we've not hit on the right flavor for your cat. I would also visit with your veterinary care provider about the potentially adding a fish oil to the diet. Fish oils are shown in many areas to be very anti-inflammatory in nature, and certainly with the cystitis we're dealing with an inflammatory event. Fish oils may be beneficial, and also because they are fish oils may certainly be something that will tempt your cat to want to eat for sure. So those are certainly 2 things. Another third thing to think about, and again something your veterinarian can give you much more information on, increasingly research would show that some of these cats that suffer from these chronic cystitis issues may suffer from some level of anxiety or some level of stress. There's been work to show that certainly more interaction with this cat, more toys to play with this cat, even a calming product where this animal will relax a little bit more, and maybe your cat will be less likely to be a little stressed, sometimes will help improve these situations. So certainly sometimes increasing activity or increasing the number of toys they have might be of benefit. There are nutritional supplements out there to relax and calm these animals, and your veterinarian can give you some better ideas on that as well. But those are 3 areas again: the diet, perhaps fish oils, and potentially some interaction or intervention from the behavioral side of things are all areas you might want to pursue with your veterinarian.
Wonderful, thank you. And we just had another person ask, her name's Ashley, how do you introduce a new dog to a cat?
Ashley, very, very carefully. But no, certainly if your cat has no experience with dogs at all, then certainly the first step I might do would try to add some things to your cat's environment that smell like this dog. So certainly toys or a blanket, something like that. I would highly, highly recommend some sort of supplement be placed on this cat. There are natural-based products, some that have L-tryptophan in it, some that have some other relaxing products that will help this cat just be a little bit more calm as we add this stress, which your cat will see this new puppy potentially as a stress that will help the process. It needs to be gradual in nature, so supervised 5-10 minutes. Certainly you want to make sure that your cat has access to its hidey holes. We certainly don't want to confine the cat around these animals, around the new puppy. But I think as you slowly incorporate this dog around the cat, slowly, incrementally, potentially including again some treats, perhaps a relaxing product, hopefully you'll have a whole lot of success.
Wonderful, thank you. We have another person that is asking a question. Her name's Carrie. She says, I have a cat who is almost 1. He was born with me. I had him neutered at 3 months. He's a very active, healthy boy. He sides round out and in his belly area. I have wormed him for tape and roundworm, yet his sides still remain rounded out. Is that normal?
Very difficult to say if that's normal or not for your cat, but certainly early age neutering potentially will promote a little more than average weight gain in an animal of that age. I think a full veterinary examination would be recommended. There are other indications sometimes where the abdomen may look a little bit distended, but it simply may be the normal body condition for your animal. So a good veterinary check to rule out any underlying problems, and it may just simply be the unique body condition and body shape for your cat.
Great, thank you. Another lady has a question.
And we are back, and I'm going to blame it all on him, but sorry for that. We're going to make this up as we go along, but we're going to answer a few more questions.
So Leslie has a question that her cat comes up to be hugged by her husband and then curls up in his arms. Right before his nose starts to run, he comes face to face. It's kind of weird. Is he being overstimulated?
I don't believe he's being overstimulated. It simply may be a normal behavioral response for him. There may be potentially something on articles of clothing that your husband wears that he's a little bit more sensitive to, but normally those sensitivities would also be seen with sneezing or something like that. So I don't know that I'd worry about it too much, but certainly I don't think, at least in what you're describing, it's harming him in any way.
Okay. Sierra has a question about allergies. Can dogs have allergies? And if so, do you have any products out there that you'd recommend?
Sierra, absolutely. Dogs and cats, for that matter, suffer from just about every allergy that humans can. They're sensitive to those same environmental allergens in the environment, indoors, outdoors, that we are. So certainly the first and foremost is to try to identify those. Many times without full veterinary evaluation, it's hard to pinpoint which ones those are. But for now, what I would recommend is certainly looking to see if there's some commonality to when you notice the most symptoms in your dog. If it's when they're inside, if it's when they're outside, what time of day, and then certainly begin to look at potential things that you're sensitive to. As far as managing them, your veterinarian can prescribe a vast array of antihistamines, some over the counter, some veterinary prescribed, but certainly something you want to visit with them about. And then certainly if we have some appreciation of what may be irritating these animals, then limiting their access in the best way that we can.
Thank you. Another question that came in is, how can I keep my dog or cat calm when taking them for car rides?
It's a good question, certainly, especially as we come into the summertime, that we're certainly going to want to take our animals with us. And again, many times it's simply just the environment inside the car itself. So always recommend to keep them in their favorite crate, their favorite carrier. Inside that crate or carrier, you can certainly put their favorite toy, their favorite blanket. There are many products. Tomlyn has one in particular that has something to relax this animal. It also contains ginger. Ginger is very good at calming down any nausea. Many of these animals, it's the car sickness associated with the anxiety that is the most problematic. So a combination product like that might be something that might alleviate some of these problems in your animals. Again, certainly it depends on the degree of stress these animals are, but a lot of times if we just take practice runs, short trips around the block, short errands within town before we try those longer road trips, that's always beneficial to acclimate these animals versus the one summer every year that they get in that car.
All right, and Deirdre had a question regarding hot spots. What can you do? I guess, first of all, how do you know an animal has a hot spot? And then what can you do?
Thank you, Deirdre. Certainly it's important to understand first and foremost that a hot spot is a symptom of an underlying problem, and quite simply a hot spot is a moist area of infection and inflammation and raw spot on these animals where they continually lick and lick and lick, and it gets rawer and redder and more irritated. And again, it's usually secondary to some other problem, be it an allergy. Some animals that are suffering pain in their limbs or in their joints will lick over that area, and again, with that repetitive licking, we develop an area of infection, and with that infection, they lick more, and we get more infection, and you get into this vicious circle. So again, consultation with your veterinarian to try to isolate the underlying cause is going to be first and foremost. Then as far as treating the hot spot itself, it's really a multi-pronged attack. We certainly want to have something on there that will treat the infection because there is an underlying infection. We need to try to alleviate the animal licking the area because licking just continues to worsen the area. So certainly something that has some pain relief in it as well would also be indicative, again, trying to promote this animal to leave it alone and allow the healing process to take place. Tomlyn does have a product such as that has a mild antibiotic in it. It also has a bitter apple type formulation to retard the animal from licking, and also has something to alleviate and soothe that area so it's going to be less uncomfortable for the animal. But first and foremost, again, it's a secondary issue. You need to address the underlying cause with your veterinarian.
Wonderful, thank you. Erica has a good question regarding hairballs. She said this morning she stepped in another hairball from her cat, and her cat seems to have more and more of the hairball issues, especially recently, I guess, with the warm weather coming. Do you want to talk a little bit about warm weather and cats licking, and then maybe what she could do to maybe avoid the hairballs?
Sure, absolutely. You know, and certainly hairballs. In a perfect scenario, those hairs that are ingested, we'd like to see them balled up and actually be passed in the litter box. When they're shooting them back out the front end and you're stepping in them, then certainly we have a problem. With the warmer weather, certainly there's probably going to be some more shedding. These thicker coated animals are going to be losing some of their hair. We need to try to promote as much grooming as possible to minimize how much hair is around, and then certainly add some sort of product that's going to bind up that hair and again allow it to pass on through safely through the digestive tract and into the litter box. There are diets available. Your veterinarian can list quite a few that are now formulated potentially to alleviate some of these issues, or certainly a supplement like Tomlyn's, which again will ball that hair up and allow it to pass on through normally versus it ending up on your carpet again.
Great, thank you. Is there anything, summer's coming up, spring's almost ending, summer. Is there something that you'd like to give advice out to the folks, at least for this week? Maybe with the hot weather or something they should be careful of?
Yeah, absolutely. With all the fun time coming this summer, I think some key things to think about. Remember the heat. Dogs suffer from heat stress just as people, so certainly we want to make sure there's plenty of good, clean water, access to that. If this is an outdoor pet that stays outside, we want to make sure they have access to shade at all times. If we can promote some sort of air circulation as well. If they're going to be in the car, then they absolutely can never at any point be left unsupervised inside a locked car. I think it's also important to appreciate, as we discussed earlier, the stresses they're going to be undergoing if they're going to be going with us on travel and trips, something they're not used to. They're going to be facing a whole lot of pressure, so certainly think about adding a product to the regimen that's going to allow them to relax. When you stop at those roadside parks, make sure you keep the leash on them. Certainly we don't want any horrible mishaps if they were to get spooked and run out near the highway. There's also lots of things laying around these rest areas that these animals can get access to. As we approach fireworks season, the 4th of July, lots of noise, lots of people, lots of bright lights, and these can all be very stressful to the animals. So I think as we look forward to the fun time in the off season, in the summer season, I should say, we also need to make sure that we appreciate that much of this fun can be a bunch of stress to these animals, and it's something we really should pay attention to.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. We wanted to say thank you again. I'm Tabitha with Tomlyn. I'm the marketing manager. And here's the cute little guy that you helped name on Facebook. We really appreciate all your feedback. So tune in to Facebook because we will have additional lives coming up in the next few weeks. And if you have any questions, please visit our website. It's www.tomlyn.com. Thank you so much and have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.